Hi friends! Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Emily and my channel is all about memory keeping. Today I'm really excited to share with you a layout that I'm going to be making with the black and white quarterly scrapbooking kit. And this is part of an Instagram hop that the brand ambassadors are doing, thanks to Shu Wen, who organized this. I am going to be making an all digital, well, it's going to be a hybrid page, but I'm going to be using all the digital quarterly scrapbooking kit. I get the physical kit, but unfortunately I don't have this month's because of what I think was a porch pirate. It was delivered to my front door, and then by the time I got home the package wasn't there. So I can only hope that the porch pirate was inspired to begin or start again scrapbooking, and I hope that they are just doing well and loving the black and white scrapbooking kit, and I wish them well. But I'm really sad because I don't have the physical kit, and this kit would have been so great to have the physical kit of, because I just love the flowers and the foil embellishments and all of that. But this is a great opportunity for me to just showcase the digital kit. I do a lot of digital scrapbooking, as you may or may not know, and I'm really excited to use this opportunity, turn it into a positive, and I'm going to show you how I am going to make it. So let's turn over to my computer screen, and I'm going to walk you through how I make it. Okay, so the first thing that I like to do when I'm working with a digital kit is start at this page here with the photo that has everything in the digital kit that you can use. And so knowing that a page that I make with only a digital kit is going to be a little bit less embellished just by nature of it, because I don't have the physical embellishments and I don't want to print a million things. So this one jumped out at me right away because the prompt is already there. It's 6 circles. It's so easy to fill. It's like just a story that's ready to be told. So I'm opening this up in Finder, and the thing about this page is that it's a 6x8 sized outside the page protector, so it's more like 7x8 1/4, and I want to make it a 9x12 because that's the size that I work in. So I'm opening up Photoshop, and I want to click and drag, holding down Shift to keep the same aspect ratio in check. And then it's going to leave a little bit of blank space. So I don't want to just squish it because that would make the circles look different than I want them to. So let me introduce you to my friend, Content Aware Fill. So what you do for that is first you want to rasterize the layer, use the rectangle marquee, and then draw around the empty space, right click and click Content Aware Fill. And what it's looking for is the pattern that you want it to replicate. And so the green teaches it the pattern that it's going to replicate. And so you want to erase anything that you don't want it to replicate. For example, I don't want it to replicate a little bit of that circle. I'm just looking for the textured white background on both the top and the bottom. And I'm going to repeat this content aware fill to also delete the numbers and the words, because I want to fill it all up with a picture and with words. I just don't want it to be super, super flat. So same thing, I'm just drawing a rectangle around the word, clicking delete on my keyboard, right clicking content aware fill over and over and over again. And what that does is it allows you to keep the texture that's around it, rather than, you could just delete it and fill it with a color, but it's not going to be as perfect. It's not going to look the same as if, the words weren't there at all. So then the next thing I want to do is create some sort of frames for some photos and words to live in. And so I'm going over to this ellipses tool, which basically just makes a circle or an oval. And but I don't want it to be a perfect oval because these are messy circles, and so I want the frame to fit inside the messy circle. So what I do is I go over to the pen tool, and you want to go to add anchor point. And what that allows you to do is draw little anchor points in the circle and click and drag them around to make an oblong or whatever shape you want. But in this case, it allows you to replicate a messy circle. So I want a little bit of the gray to show, but I want it to be roughly the same shape. And as I was doing this, I realized that there's just actually 2 circle shapes here. So I can copy and paste, and then I don't have to recreate the oblong messy circle each time. what I'm going to do is make these 3 messy circles clipping masks. So and I have a video showing clipping masks in a little bit more detail. I kind of had to zip through them here because I was already at 15 minutes, and that's as long as a YouTube video can be for me right now. But basically, to make a clipping mask, you just drop the photo onto your layout in Photoshop, you drag it above the shape that you want, and then you right click and click Create Clipping Mask. It's pretty simple. And then if you click the layer of the photo, it allows you to move it around inside the frame. And this was a little tricky for me because I was using 3 photos that are taken in portrait mode, and I'm trying to kind of fit them into an oblong landscape shaped circle or ellipses. But we made it work. This one was landscape, so it was a little bit easier. So my title is Somewhere in Between, and this story spark really just hit me when I was looking at the plastic. I think they're plastic in the physical kit word phrases, and it says Somewhere in Between, and it just really sparked kind of this story because my mom and my husband's dad are both kind of dealing with some health things, and they're not, we get asked a lot, like, how are they doing? People are just being so nice, but it's kind of a weird thing where I don't really know what to say because they're not great, but they're not terrible. They're kind of just somewhere in between. And so I wanted to kind of expound on that a little bit. And I just loved that story spark. It just hit me. So for this, I made more ellipses, just the same as we did before with the clipping masks. But for this, I just wanted to fill it with text. So you just click the text tool, click on your shape, and it'll make shape in that. It'll make text inside your shape. There we go. So I already had my journaling done. It was in the Notes app, so I'm just clicking and dragging it over. It took about a third each time. And now what I need to do is hide each of my layers because I'm going to be printing on 4 different pieces of paper. Chipboard, cardstock, I guess, not chipboard. Cardstock for the title and the background. I'm going to print my journaling on acetate and photo paper. So hiding the things I don't want printed and then showing the things I do want printed. So I'm going through that process, journaling printed on acetate, photos printed on photo paper, and my cardstock, cardstock printed on cardstock. So here they all are, all of the things that I printed: the transparency, the cardstock, the photo paper, and I went ahead and printed the title on cardstock as well. I just taped it to, this is a scratch paper, but I try to use up scraps whenever I can. The Somewhere in Between on my computer looked a little bit darker gray and less of like a grayish brown gray, but whatever. It is what it is. So this is the part where I was just extra sad about my porch pirate situation because the black and white prints from the kit would have been so perfect for a little strip of pattern paper that I wanted to put above the title. And I could have, and probably should have, just gone ahead and printed out some more pattern paper from the kit, and I could have just printed out that little strip. That would have been the smart thing to do, but at that point I was just like ready to not be printing anything anymore. I don't really enjoy doing stuff on my computer. I like how it looks, but it's less relaxing for me. So when I get away from my computer, I'm just ready to be done and be away from my computer. So I just grabbed some black and white printed papers that I had in my stash. And I liked this little cross piece of paper. My transparency was like sliding all over the place. So I taped it to my desk to just like hold it in place. And then because it's like a plastic surface, I wanted to use score tape to adhere the title and the little piece of pattern paper because I was afraid if I just used glue, it would just come right off, or just regular adhesive. So for whatever reason, the Somewhere in Between title printed a little bit larger, a little bit wider than my 9x12. And I also cut the wrong size of strip of pattern paper. I was just bound and determined to cut up this whole page, apparently. So I taped that down, and then I'm over at my sewing machine. You can see that I'm using this like weird little bobbin that's apparently hanging on by a thread. I'm using a zigzag stitch because I want to, I just like the way zigzag stitch looks. It kind of messed up and missed a bunch of stitches, but I kind of like the messy look. So I'm cutting out these little messy circles of photos on my pattern paper, and when I got them all out, so my initial plan was to have them live under the acetate. But then I started kind of playing around with stuff, and I wanted, that made me think I definitely want to do another page where the words live on top of the photos and you can fold it up. But this wasn't the right one for it because these photos were just too busy or too small. I want to do it maybe on a page or a photo that's a little bit less busy. So I decided to kind of go with my initial plan, except the photos I'm adhering to the outside of the plastic because I didn't really like how they looked behind a window pane. So, and then it kind of made me feel like, okay, well then what was the point of putting this 2-layer page? It could have just been 1 layer, but it's still kind of fun, and there's a little bit of a shadow behind the words, which is cool. So then I realized, okay, I really want to stamp on the cardstock, and I really wanted this Laura Wansick, it's fine, everything is fine, I'm fine stamp because it just seemed so perfect for this topic. But I worried that it would be too busy behind the words. So this stamp set is from the Week in the Life 2022 kit. And I also was looking at these word phrases from Laura Wansick and the Ali Edwards release. But while I decided what to do, I filled in the end of the N because, like I said, the title was a little bit too big. So I cut out some of the stars from the black and white kit. Again, so devastated I don't have the pattern paper from the kit. I could have printed it out, you're right, but I didn't. I just printed it out I just cut it with my Cricut on black and white paper that I had in my stash. So I decided on this family. I just wanted the word family. I didn't want the word time, and I kind of bent it at a little bit of an angle. So I decided I would repeat stamp the word family on all 3 of these messy circles. I'm using the Ali Edwards color St. Helens because I thought it would be just a little bit of light gray on light gray, and it would be pretty subtle. It actually is pretty vibrant. You'll see in just a second. I was kind of like, okay, how do I stamp family without the word time? I just ended up putting washi over the word time. And so see, it's pretty vibrant, even though it's light gray on light gray. You can see it pretty well, which I was super happy with. It was different than what I thought, but in a good way. And so I just did that over and over, and you can kind of, you can still totally read the words. It just gives it kind of a fun, cohesive, repeated element throughout the 3 circles. This one was a little tricky because I wanted to make sure that all of the family was under the transparency and it didn't stick out. So then my final thing that I wanted to do was just adhere some of these stars. I was so sad we didn't have the actual stars from the kit. On the left side of the screen, you'll see I grabbed some stars from the December daily release that I thought would maybe be a little bit similar to the stars in this year's kit. Since I don't have it, I don't know exactly what they look like, but I thought maybe that would be similar, but ultimately I just really liked how these stars, these are the digital stars from the kit, and I just printed it out, or cut it out, cricketed it out on some random pattern paper that I had. And I thought with each of these little clusters it would kind of add to the dimension if I put 1 star behind, 1 star under the transparency, and then 1 star on top of the photo. And then, so this last one, I was like, okay, well, what do I do? Polka dots on the bottom, polka dots on the top. Ultimately, I liked the polka dots on the bottom. It was pretty subtle. It's not like a super bright pattern. It kind of keeps in the theme of black and white. I thought about printing out my photos in black and white, but ultimately, I just decided to do it in color because I liked how that looked. So that's the whole page, and that is it. I was so happy with how this turned out. I hope you guys like it too. Let me know what you think. What you think in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.